In this lesson we'll see how we can make a run cycle for this character. Now I said run cycle because this animation is going to be cyclic animation in the same place. So that means the character will not move forward, but he will run from the same origin. Now this kind of animation is useful only for gaming purpose. For games, we will have the animators has to do animation in cycle in the same place, and the programmers will make the character move to different locations. Now when we do cycle, what we have to keep in mind is the first frame and the last frame has to be the exact same, then only it will create the proper cycles. Now before we start the animation, since it is going to involve lots of leg movements, I just want to have two more controls for the pole vector, so that even if I go to some extreme poses, it won't twist too much. So I'll go ahead and add two locators. Create locator. I'll move it up, and I'll have to move it sidewise. So this time I'll make it for the left leg. I'll go to the side view, push it forward a bit, and I'll have to make a duplicate to the other side. So the duplicate stays here. Okay, so before we continue, let's select both of them. We can give a name, and we can freeze the transformation, delete the history. Let's give a name for this to be pole vector, pole left leg. Sorry, this is right leg. And this is for pole left leg. Okay, good enough. And now all we have to do is we have to find the IK handle. I think I've hidden it there. Yes. So select locator, shift select the IK handle, go to constrain and choose pole vector. And we'll have to do the same thing for this one. Select this, shift select this, and constrain pole vector. Good. So now we can use this control to make or create the twist for the leg. So even if it's going for some extreme poses, you can force it to get to the place that you want. So let's begin the animation by the first pose. Now compared to a walk and a run, in run you will have a situation where both the legs are in the air, but in the walk always at least one leg will be on the floor. So for this we will start with a pose where both the legs are in the air. So I'll push this left leg up and back. I'll give a rotation. Let's give some exact values here. So make it something like that. So I'll give a value of 70 here. Y height I will choose 8, and translate Z I'll give -7. Okay, let's push this up and forward. Okay, we have to rotate this up. So let's give a value of -45, and here let's give a height of 7 and translate Z 10, or maybe more, 15. That's too much. Let's see, 12. I think that's good enough. Now if it is not looking nice, we can also pull these things a little bit further. Okay, that looks good. And if the left leg is in the back, the left hand has to be in the front. So let's rotate this down. -70, and rotate it forward. Not too much, -20 will do, because the other arm will also rotate. So let's give something like 75, no, 70, -70, -70. Okay, good. Let's do the same thing for this one. Push it down, minus 70, and then it has to go backwards. Let's give a positive 20, and the next one we'll rotate this way, minus 45. Okay, I can actually push this further. Now this is totally based on the kind of result that you want. So if you wanted to look extreme, you can push it for extreme poses. If you want it to look natural, you can leave it with natural poses. We can make some more poses on this rotation of the hip and for the head, which we can do later. So let's focus on these poses first. I'll start with the leg. 1, 2, hip 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. So we'll give a first keyframe, set key, press S, and last keyframe, set key, press S. So from frame number 1 till frame number 24. So first frame and the last frame are the exact same. Good. So now in the middle, that is at frame number 12, we have to create the exact opposite pose. So whichever leg is in the front will go back, and whichever leg is in the back will come front. So let's push this backwards, okay, and rotate it down. We have to get the exact same value here, so let me check from this. So as you can see, it's translate Y is 8 and translate Z is minus 7 and rotate X is 70. So that's 8 minus 7 and 70. So that's matching up exactly the same location. Let's push this forward. Okay, now when we do this, we should make sure that the auto key is on. Let me check if the auto key is on. I have to get the range slider. Okay, the auto key is on, so it automatically creates the keyframe at frame number 12. Good enough. So I'll just push this forward. I think this is a value of 10, and translate Y is 7. So let's give a value of 7 there. Okay, and rotation, I'm not sure. Let me check the rotation value for this at frame number 1. That would be minus 45. So I'll give the same rotation here, minus 45. So let's see how this looks. So as you can see, it goes back and forth. Let me just play that back. Okay, so both poses are oscillating. Good. Let's do a little bit of movement for the hip also. Well, here is also, it is the extreme pose where both the legs are in the air, and here also it is the same extreme pose where both the legs are in the air. So the hip has to be in the same place, but we just have to set key so that we can create the in-betweens here. Okay, so that's good enough. Now just to make sure, I just want to create 2 more keyframes for these 2 things here to make sure that all the other attributes are also getting the keys. Okay, so now I will go to frame number 6. So the leg that comes from the front will go down and touch the ground. So that is this one. I will turn off this thing. Yeah. Okay, so at frame number 6 it has to go down, touch the ground. So let me just do something like this. Okay, so at frame number 6, let me give it translate Y to be 0. Okay, and translate Z is 3.7. I can actually push this to 0. Okay, and no need for any rotation because it has to be flat on the ground. And at the same time the hip will also come down a bit. Okay, it's not too much down itself, we have to, okay, I think that's good enough. So the leg is touching and going back. Okay, that's good enough. Okay, and now at the same time I have to check the other leg. Let me try to do some little rotation, see if I can fix this little problem that I have. It's basically caused because of the rotation and being too close. Can also bring it a little bit down. Yeah, that almost fixes it. And along with that you can also animate this control, pole vector control. I can set key here, set key here, set key here, and then come back to 6, and I can push it to the left. So as you can see, it tries to stay in proper shape. Okay. Okay, so let's do the same thing on the other side. So when this leg comes back, this should also go and touch the ground at frame number 18. Let's bring it down, give 0, 0, and rotation also 0. So accordingly I have to bring the hip also down a little bit. Let me check how much value I gave here. It's minus 0.2, so let's see, minus 0.2. I'll give the same value here, minus 0.2. Good enough. So let's bring it down. Okay, so let me check this other leg at frame number 18. Let me bring this also a little bit down. I can also give a further rotation here and maybe bring it a bit backwards. You can do the same on this one also. Bring it a little backwards. Yes. We can copy the exact values if you want. Okay, so I think that I have to push all these 3 values a bit higher. So I will select all these 3. I want to translate up a bit, so in translate Y, instead of that value I just want to push it a little bit up, so just to show that he's running more higher. So let me check this value here. It's 9.6, I'll give 10. Here it's 8.6, I'll give 9. And here I'll give 2. Okay, so that's 2, 9, and 10. So 2, 9, and 10. So let's keep the same values here. Select this guy. Translate Y to 9 and 10. Same thing here. 2, 9, and 10. Now I'm giving exact values just because we're creating a cycle. Otherwise you can also manually give whatever values you like. Okay, so that's good enough. Okay, you can also push this for a little bit more extreme pose, which would make it a bit more interesting. I will continue to animate the hands. So first frame is done, last frame is done, and the middle frame it will be exact opposite. So if I give plus 20, I have to give minus 20. Sorry, I have already given plus 20, so I'll give minus 20. Let me do the same thing here. It's 50. Let me give, okay, minus 20. So that means here I have to give actually plus 50, not 20. 50. Okay, so let's play that back. Okay, good enough. Okay, let's continue to create the follow through for the other next arm. Select this. Okay, so here it starts like that and goes back. Okay, at frame number 12 the upper hand starts to move forward, but the lower hand should actually start to move backwards from here. So I'll give a keyframe at frame number 10, and then somewhat like 18 it will go back to, let's say, 0 or maybe minus 10. So let's see how that comes out. Okay, let's play that back. Okay, that's nice. That's a bit prominent, I think. Maybe I'll reduce this value a bit. From minus 70 I can go to like minus 45. Okay, so when we do this, keep in mind the last frame and the first frame has to be the exact same. Otherwise you can manipulate the in-between keys any way you like. Okay, let's do the same thing here. So starting from here, frame number 1, it's the same, minus 45, and then goes on. So when it comes somewhere here, let's say at 8 or 6 probably, I can push this to minus 10. Okay, and then goes on, then comes back. So when it comes back also I can at frame number 12, let's see, push it up, and then frame number 12 or 18 or 16, 18 I think, I can keep it like minus 55, then goes back to the same place. So let's play that back. Yes, that's much better. Now we can create the same follow through on this hand also. So starting from here, set key, last frame set key, and when it comes forward I can keep it going down a bit, let's say 20 or 10, maybe 10. Okay, goes back, and then at 18 it goes upwards, minus 25, and then it reaches back to the same place. So now you can see that it has the same follow through continuing from the upper arm. I can do the same for the other hand. Set key here. So let's start from here, going down at frame number 8 or something like that. I can move it upwards, let's say minus 25, then goes down, and 18, let's push it backwards, plus 10, and then back to the original place. Yes, so this is more like the wave animation that we did before. So first control will move forward and then the second control follows through. Okay, now we can add a little bit of animation to the hip, and here also we can give a little follow through between all these controls. So hip doesn't have any rotation so far, so when it's straight, let it be straight, and then when it goes down I can bend it down a bit. So that is like 12, maybe 10, then goes up again to 0, and then back here again a value of 10. So there you go. Now this same animation can be backed up by these other controls to create a follow through. Let's see how it looks from the front view. It's too much move towards the sides. You can push these two legs closer to each other. You can go to animation editors, graph editor. Let's check the translate Z, translate X. It's constant. I just want to push all these three keyframes towards this side, so that would be -X. So let me give a value here like -2 and see how that looks. I think that's better. See, this is how it was originally, and by giving -2, let's see, -2 moved closer. Okay, I can do the same thing on this one. Translate X, select all of them. For these I have to move them in positive direction, +2. So let's see how that looks. Hope it doesn't distort too much. No. And you have to check if they are hitting each other. No, they're good. You can hide the skeleton, and you can also make a layer for the control curves, so I can hide them also if I want. I'll just go ahead and hide the polygons, select all these. Okay, put that in the skeleton section, add. Okay, select all these things and just choose a new layer, name it CC for control curves. Okay, so now I can turn my polygons back, you can hide these control curves. Now we can just watch the character. So that's the run cycle animation.